It's my hand mirror. Oh. 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 Who's it laughing at? Not me, I hope. Huh. What's the other one do? Well, pick it up. Oh, that's better, yes. Well, I suppose I'm handsome. These are hand mirrors, one of which laughs, one of which whistles at you. Well, that's quite nice, but they're part of a collection of flat mirrors, which I've been looking at for many, many years, and I want to show some of them here. The simplest one I came across 30 years ago was for a children's book, which was just a little bit of mirror paper and very simple little drawings which the kids could immediately identify. This one here, for instance, if you have the mirror in the right place, it'll make a full moon instead of a half moon, which is very nice. And then sailing ships, and then you complete the pizza that's been eaten. It's now a full pizza, and so on. This is something for very small children. It came out about 30 years ago, I think it was. So something I relished at the time. And also at that time I came across very early versions of the spy spectacles. This one's broken, but never mind. It shows the principle. You have a little mirror in the corner here, flat mirror it is, and when you wear it on your head, you can actually see by looking up to the left quite clearly behind you, which is very nice. But nowadays they do it in a much simpler but much more effective way of doing it. These are the same ideas, but there's no mirror visible there, except when you look very carefully. The corner here and the corner here have got silvering there, which works extremely well as sort of see-back scopes. You can see exactly what's behind you just by wearing them. Providing your hair isn't sticking out too far, I can see exactly what's happening behind me. Very nice idea. But the original was simply a little tiny mirror in the corner. That's nice. Now coming forward to something much more sophisticated, something which we have on our website, it's a faceted mirror, a multifaceted mirror. This is extraordinary. These are all flat mirrors, but they're all little facets, like little pyramids. And the idea, it's a kind of very exotic notepad. When you hold it in one direction and exactly line up your eyes, you see the word love appears, or the word hate. It only says the two words. And then depending on where the ink is, where the coloration is, it changes to the other name. And all done by this extraordinary mirror system here, which is a whole series of little tiny faceted mirrors spelling out the word love or the word hate, depending on where they're picking up the reflection. Very sophisticated and very clever. And there's about 30 years of collecting between those two types of mirrors. There are hundreds of kaleidoscopes out there, and I've got about several dozen myself, and most of the kaleidoscopes I've come across are triangular mirrors, and they're just straight. Here's an example of one which is a triangular mirror, but it's tapered, so that you get some very nice effects when you put something in the base here and move it around. You get some nice multiple imaging effect and sort of geodesic domes due to the angles, quite subtle angles involved in this. And if you look at the inside of the mirror, and in every case of my mirrors I like seeing what's going on inside. This one is simply parts like this, and there we are, three mirrors, all with tapered angles, and when they're put together they make that nice effect of geodesic domes and with very subtle angles. That's one of the earliest versions of these kaleidospheres, they call it, which came out about 30 years ago. I think my all-time favourite kaleidoscope type object is this one here, the Humorous Boxes by Yamazaki, who I met 30 years ago in Japan. This has got mirror and mirror and mirror, all sides inside, all the faces inside are first surface mirrors, and when you light it up from the inside, on the outside to look inside, you see what looks like an enormous cathedral. Very, very three-dimensional and very deep and wonderful effect there. It's called Cumos, suggesting the cosmos and a cube. That was the idea he had behind it. But the sense of spatial awareness when you look inside the cube is quite astonishing. It's quite the best I've ever come across. I had several of mine in my collection, and they're highly revered. There's a nice effect with flat mirrors, which I call infinite regressions. It's best probably done with this stuff here, which is half silvering. You know it's half silver because although it reflects here, when I put a torch the other side, the light, you can see the light, so it's not full silvering, it's not completely opaque. And the effect is, if you now look at, an ordinary bathroom mirror, you'll see what they call infinite regressions. You get the image going back and forward, but this stuff is not that easy to find and get hold of. Here's a much easier version that my friend Terry Pope made up for me about 30 years ago. A simple little mirror. All he did was to scrape off here and scrape off here to make two little holes. The point of making two holes, not one hole, is when you look at the mirror, you're using both your eyes, and you've got a much better three-dimensional viewing of things. And I'm seeing, it goes a long, long way in, and it's very well lit up as well. So here's something you can make yourself. Just get a simple little cheap mirror and simply take off the silvering and then look at a mirror in the house, and you get that wonderful regressions of all the way back to infinity. And there's two other versions of this. One is this candle on the front, which is merrily burning away, and that gives a lovely tunnel effect. And there's also one which we had for some years on our website, which I call a tunnel light pendant, which is this one here, if I can get it to light up. Sometimes, oh, there we are, it's lighting up now. Lights with flashing little LEDs. And as with all my things, I wanted to know what it's like inside. How does it work? It's creating a nice sense of depth of a tunnel going into infinity. Well, the answer is, when you take off the back, you've got two mirrors here. You've got a full mirror in the back. That is a full mirror. This one, however, is a half mirror. And you can tell it's a half mirror because I can put a short in the back and you can see there's light coming through. So you have a full mirror at the back and a half mirror at the front. And when you put the two mirrors together, you get that wonderful sense of the light going back and forward, back and forward. Something similar, isn't it? You get in a barber shop where you're looking at a mirror and there's a mirror on the back wall as well. Infinite Regressions is something I've always enjoyed looking at. Now here's a very strange item which came out originally in the early 90s, I think it was. Face blending, they call it. The first version I ever came across, which I haven't got, but you can make this up yourself. Just get a bit of card, put some mirror paper on it, make a space there for your nose and your eyes, and then look at your friend's face, and your face is more for you. Look at a mirror, perhaps. Here's a more sophisticated version, which I'm now going to show you how to make one, which is just a series of horizontal lines. So you see a bit of your face and your friend's face, your face, your friend's face. And look how easy this is to make. It's just a piece of plastic, and it's got bits of mirror paper. And they suggest that you just follow the diagram and lay out the bits of mirror paper, which is sticky. You stick one on here, stick one exactly aligned on the back, and use this as a diagram. So the effect is, when you're holding it up and looking at your friend's face close, and you need to get your eyes exactly lined up, you see your face, his face, your face, his face, your face, and the blending is extraordinary. I saw this originally at Nuremberg in the early 80s, and there was an bewhiskered Austrian gentleman, 20 years older, sitting opposite me. Our faces blended, and I seemed to see my face in about 20 years' time, and then the lips moved, but they weren't my lips. Oh, goodness me. This is a wonderful gadget for both kids and adults to play with, and simply make it from plastic and sheets of mirror paper, and it's a face blender. It blends the two faces together. So lastly, the most sophisticated versions of the flat mirror I've ever come across are the phantoscopes that Terry Pope, who I've known for many years, is still developing. And he's got 4 in his collection, 2 of which we have in our shop, and the others, well, they're coming along. Simple flat mirrors, a pair here and a pair here, has the effect of making the eyes 8 inches apart, which enormously increases your view of 3D. You get a tremendous sense of depth, which is wonderful. Hold them up to the face like that, and your eyes are now on stalks at either end of the mirrors. That's a wonderful effect. The second one he hasn't yet produced, but he does make them privately, and this is a very high quality one he's made, which is a monoscope. It brings your eyes from out here into one focal plane. It's called variously a cyclopter, like Cyclops, the Greek monster, whose eyes in one plane. And everything looks very flat, but there's various other very subtle effects with this, which is more than just closing one eye. It's your process of trying to work out 3 dimensions, and it's not receiving the right signal, so it makes other effects, which are very subtle, in fact. So the monoscope or Cylopter is another version of it. Then the most interesting one is when your eyes cross over, and this is the hyperscope, which is the most elaborate of his ones. And what happens here is the information over here comes into this eye, the wrong eye, and vice versa. And it inverts things. It makes trees look inside out. And it does the most extraordinary things. When you look at certain targets which he provides, you get the most extraordinary appearance, as if you're walking into a world of Magritte or one of these surrealistic painters. So that's probably the most interesting of all these scopes. There's one more which he's shown me, but unfortunately he's not going to make. It's just too particular, and that is an Earth scope, where you have one eye here and one eye down there, like 2 periscopes. That makes the Earth more pronouncedly curved than it really is, as if you're standing on a planet which is about 800 miles in diameter, not 8,000. The effect is extraordinary, but you need to have a large flat plane, a big body of water like a lake, the sea, calm day, and it's too particular, and he won't market it. While I'm on these scopes, the last one I might mention to you is a time scope, which I thought of about 20 years ago, but he poo-pooed it, said it's already available. What about, I said to him, if you had one eye in front of the other? Well, you couldn't do that with mirrors, because you have one light path going halfway to the moon and back to get the necessary light goes so fast. But I said a helmet with 2 little video cameras, 2 monitor screens, half a second delay. It's been done before. He said, don't bother. It's called a something effect. Do you know what it is? Here is the glasses. It was discovered by a German physicist, I think, in the 1920s. One eye is dark, and it's like a dark sunglasses. The other eye is clear, but you don't even need glasses. You just use your ordinary sunglasses and hold them up like that. And that's this a special effect. It's a time scope in effect. What happens is the information on one gets to the brain quicker than the other. What's going on there? Why is it time? What's it called? Here's a little problem for you to work out. What is this device called, and why should it be called a time scope?